Hello everyone, my name is Michael. In today's video we are going to see how we can scrape Google Map leads using Selenium in Python. And yeah, with that said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so first of all, before we start coding, we need to see what our bot has to do step by step in order to scrape the leads. So first of all, as you will see right here, if we visit Google Maps and search for lawyer, let's say we want to get lawyer leads, then what our bot has to do is visit this URL right here and then add this keyword, basically what it needs to search, for example lawyer, and then this part is not necessary. So for example, if I want our bot to visit doctors, then we'll take this part and then add doctor, and then it will go to to those leads. First of all, we will need to load all the leads, so I want our bot to scroll down until it gets all the results. So it will keep scrolling down, as you will see right here, and this is not endless, of course. After some time it will finish scrolling, but it depends on your location. And there we go. So as you see, we got you've reached the end of the list, and that's perfect. So now everything is loaded, all the results are loaded. What our bot needs to do is go to each one of the results, or basically fetch all the results, and then for each result it fetches, we basically want to get the title, the reviews, the stars, and maybe the occupation, the address of course, and of course their telephone number. And then, as you will see, many of them don't have a website, so if you have a web design agency, maybe you want to scrape those that don't have a website, so you would scrape the website value, and if it is null or undefined or basically doesn't exist, then we save them to our list with leads, and of course you can do whatever you want after that. Now as you start scaling this up, you'll run into two main issues. Now of course, if you just want to scrape those few hundred leads, you'll be fine, right? But when you start scraping tens of thousands of leads, for example, let's say you don't only want to search for doctors, you want to search for lawyers, you want to search for whatever you want, and you start scraping more and more data, Google will realize that you are doing this using a bot, and it will start blocking you. And another issue is that, for example, as you will see right here, if our bot searches for doctor, it will basically show you results in nearby your location, or basically either in your country or in your city. But that's a limitation that we don't want. For example, if you want to search for doctors in your location, but you want to also search for New York or Denmark or whatever, then you won't be able to do that, because just saying doctor and then New York won't give you as accurate results as if you were using your bot in New York, for example. Now there is a way to bypass both of those issues, and it is by using proxies. Proxy will basically mask your IP, and it will allow you to change your IP address, which is what Google uses to identify you. And then basically using a proxy, you can also specify with some proxy providers what location you want your proxy to be at. So for example, we can be very specific. We can choose USA, specify the region, for example, New York, and then again the city, New York City, and get very specific results. Because if you just put a country, for example, USA, it will give you random proxies, and this is not what we want. Also, because we are using proxies now, every time we search, we get some results, it will be with a different IP address. So we are basically bypassing those issues. Now, as you start using proxies, you will realize that not all of them are the same. Some of them are clean and some of them are bad. But basically, if you are using bad proxies, Google will be able to detect that you are using a proxy and not your own IP address, and it will block you. Or if you are using free proxies for example, most of them don't even work. So when you start using them, they will not even load the website. And even the ones that work will basically either be very slow, so your script will be unable to run, or it will be very or extremely slow. With free proxies, you are almost guaranteed that you will be banned or basically be detected from Google. Now, even if you start using paid proxies, not all proxy providers provide good proxies. Fortunately, there is a way to check the proxy quality and make sure we are using quality proxies. And this is by using, or this is basically what I recommend, and this is by using this proxy checker by PixelScan. And basically this plugin for Firefox, which I'll have a link down in the description, allows you to give it your IP addresses, or basically your proxies, and it will scan them and tell you how likely they are to be detected or how clean they are. Another thing is that with free proxies, since they are free and most of the time they are public, everyone is using them, and that's why they are easily being detected, because there is a lot of traffic going through them and Google can easily detect that. Okay, so let's see how we can use this plugin. So first of all, click the link in the description and click add to Firefox, and let's click add. Okay, here it is. So let's open it. As you'll see, it has protocol HTTP, which is what we will be using for our proxies. And then here, as you'll see, you can paste your proxies, your proxy list, up to 50 proxies, which is fine. We just want to check most of the proxies. And yeah, so let's grab some free proxies so you can see the difference between free and then some paid ones. There we go. So I got some free proxies. So let's click check proxies. And there we go. So as you see, we got very bad results. Actually, yeah, that's very bad. Now, not all of the time they are this bad. So as you'll see here on the status, we got error. So this means if we had used these proxies, none of them would work. So they wouldn't even open the website, not even scrub them. So yeah, that's very bad. As you see with free proxies, success rate is 0%. But when using paid proxies, success rate is always 100%. If it's below 100%, then you are using a very bad proxy provider. I've tested many proxy providers in the past, and most of them only provide clean proxies 25% of the time, which is very bad considering if we use bad proxies and maybe we do that repeatedly, Google will block you, and also your script will most likely malfunction. And then I found Node Maven. They provide clean proxies, as you'll see right here, 95% of the time. And they also provide proxies with super sticky sessions that last up to 24 hours, which in our case is not as useful. But for example, if you used proxies when I don't know, you are doing ads on Facebook and you want to switch your proxy per account, but you also maintain that cookie for many hours, then that will be very useful. Now, by partnering with Node Maven, I was able to get a link which will give you access to a trial that is going on right now. And also by using the code Michael on checkout, you'll see right about here, you'll be able to get an extra 2 gigabytes of bandwidth for free. So after you're signing up using my link down the description and go to proxy setup here on Node Maven, as you will see, we have some settings which we can apply for our proxies, and let's go through each one of them and see how it can be useful in our case. So first setting, which is very useful in our case, is the location setting. And here you can specify exactly what country, region, and city, and also the ISP that you want to use for your proxy. For example, let's say we want the country to be United States, the region to be New York and the city to be New York City. Then our ISP, it doesn't really matter, but if you use their proxies and you want to bypass some sort of bot detection, maybe you want to use a popular ISP like AT&T. So for now I'll leave it to random because in our case it doesn't really matter. And then we want the session type to be rotating. So this gives us the ability to only use one of the proxies right here. And when we use that to our script, each time we load a new page, it will automatically change the IP address, so we don't have to do the rotating of the proxies ourselves, which is something that not many providers provide, this ability, and also this ability to be very specific. Okay, so let's go ahead and specify the country for now. Let's put United States. Leave everything to default and let's copy paste our proxy here. Make sure you put number of proxies to 50. And then let's go back to our Firefox plugin and let's test our proxies. We got very good results. As you see, the average quality level is high, which is the best you can get. And then we only get low quality IPs 8% of the time, which means we get good proxies, or basically very low risk or proxies. As you'll see, most of them are at 1%, which is the best you can get. And also basically this means we get 92% of the time. Okay, so let's start coding. So first of all, let's go ahead and create a new folder. Let's name it Selenium. I don't know, Google Maps leads scraping. And then let's open it in terminal. And if you're using Visual Studio Code, do code space and then dot to open the folder in Visual Studio Code. Otherwise, if you are using any other IDE, and then I guess it's fine. Just make sure to open that folder in your IDE. Okay, so first of all, let's create a new file and call it main.py. So instead of using Selenium to create our WebDriver, we will be using Selenium Wire. Since by using Selenium Wire, we are able to use proxies. And there we go. So if we scroll down, and then we search for proxies. Proxies, there we go. As you'll see, it gives you an example of how to use it. And that's perfect actually. So let's first of all go up, copy the example, or actually just this part, go back to our code, copy it, there we go. Now let's go on Google and copy paste this part of the URL for Google Maps, put it here, and then actually put that. Then let's make it dynamic, so put an F here. Then we will replace this with a value, so let's put here keyword. Then create that value, so let's do keyword equals to, and then let's do lawyer. Of course, usually in your application you might want to get that lawyer part for the keyword from a txt file, or basically a list with keywords that you want to scrape, and go through each one of them. Want to import some stuff from Selenium itself, so what we will do here is say from and then Selenium dot and then let's do WebDriver, and then we want to get from Chrome the service, and from that import service. Let's also copy that so we don't have to repeat it. And we also want to get from common, actually we want to get the Chrome driver manager, and I'm going to use Chrome driver manager. Wait, no, we want to get by, since we are going to use that in our selectors. Then we also, let's copy that again, need to get from support the WebDriver wait, so we can wait until the selector is visible. And then we also need to import expected conditions and then as EC, there we go. And then another thing that we will be using is the Chrome driver manager. So let's go back here. And what this allows us to do is, so instead of trying to find uncompatible Chrome driver for our Python application and then updating it each time, what Chrome driver manager do is install it automatically each time you are using the app, or basically the first time, I guess. Let's only copy this part, put it here, there we go. And also import JSON, since we will use our results, we will save our results in a JSON file. And also let's import re for our regex. Now I'll explain why we need that in a bit. Basically, we will be using regex to scrape the phone number from the results. And yeah, that's it for the imports. Of course, you need to install those libraries if you haven't already. So we will do pip, then our version 3.11, and then let's say Selenium wire, then WebDriver Manager, and of course install, and then what do we want to install. And there we go. Since I have already installed everything, this is pretty fast, but in your case might take some time. Now next thing we want to do, give our driver some options. So we'll do Chrome underscore options now equals to WebDriver dot options, or Chrome options specifically, since we are using Chrome. And then we will create a service, which is where we will use our WebDriver manager or Chrome driver manager. Then using our service, we will specify to use the Chrome driver manager service, then the install command from that. There we go. We also need to create our driver. So we have done all of that already. Let's just pass the options here. So service, we will use our service. Next, we want to pass the options. So that equals to Chrome options. And let's leave that to now. In a bit, I will show you how you can use proxies as well. But for now, let's keep it simple. And yeah, actually that should be it. Let's test this part now and make sure this opens the browser. And it says cannot import name by, okay. Yeah, okay, so here on .common we need to do .by. Okay, so here we need to do support WebDriver away.ui. And then here we need to do fill in, we don't have to do anything here. Okay, so let's rerun it again. And there we go. And that's it. Now, as you saw, it gave us a cookie window, which we will need to click accept automatically. So let's go ahead and do that first. So let's put a try catch, since we don't always get that cookie window. And then put accept here, and then put an exception here. And of course we will pass. And here what we will do is put a WebDriver wait for our driver here, and then pass the seconds, so maximum 5 seconds. And then we want to await until the ec.element is clickable. Element turns to clickable, so we want to wait until the element we will give it is clickable, and then we will do by, and then CSS selector, comma, and then let's go ahead and find that CSS selector, and in the end we will do .click, and that's it. So let's go here, let's copy paste this, and let's use incognito and see what we get. And there we go. So this is the window we get, and let's try and find the selector. So open inspect element, and then go here. Let's find the button right here, and now we need to find something unique. Now, as you see, those JS names or those class are basically auto-generated, so these are not very reliable, because the next time Google does an update, these most likely will be changed. We need something that is more permanent. And here area label, as we change the countries, this will be the same. So if you are in the US, for example, you get English, but once you change the countries, this will be different, so we cannot use that either. But as you'll see here, what we can do is use the form. So as you'll see, we have two forms here. So what we can do is say form and then get the second child. And as you'll see, when we get the second child, the first element that we can click is this one right here. So let's go ahead and use that. Since the form is also the button, it's the same thing. So let's close that, go back to our code. And then let's pass the selector here. Perfect, so let's run the code again. We also want our browser to not close immediately. So what we can do is say time.sleep and then put 60 here. And also add time here. So import and then time. There we go. And let's run it again. And there we go. So you click the button and that's it. Okay, so we made a mistake here. We put the dollar here. Let's remove that. That's a mistake. There we go. We don't have to do that since this is not JavaScript. But yeah, that worked. So let's close this for now and let's go back and let's go to the second step our script has to make. So as we said, the second step would be to scroll to the bottom until it cannot do that anymore. So let's go back to our VS Code and let's code that part. So here, what we will do is use scrollable. Actually, first of all, I want to say something. If we keep scrolling and we code that in our bot, as you will see, it will start scrolling on the map, or basically it will not function at all. We need it to scroll on the bottom, but right here specifically. We need to get the selector for this list. So let's go here and get this selector that surrounds this list. And as you'll see, this is the unique element of it. Role equals feed. So let's grab that. And what we will do now is say scrollable div equals to. Then we will use a driver and say dot find element by the CSS selector. And then we will put the selector here, as so. Here we go. There you go. Now that we find the scrollable div by the CSS selector, what we will do is say driver.execute, and we want to execute some JavaScript. So we have to add 3 strings here. There we go, as so. And here we will put the custom vanilla JavaScript script for our bot to run. So what we will do is say var and then scrollable div equals to, and then arguments, since we will pass the scrollable div via arguments, and then we want to get the first argument. And then the way to pass the argument is right here. So we will say scrollable div here. There we go. Now the next step is to create a function, and let's name this scroll within element, and this should take the scrollable div. There we go. And of course we want to return that function, so let's say return scroll within element, and then we pass of course the scrollable div right here. There we go. Next, we want that function to return a promise. Since we need to do a certain task, and once that task is completed, then we want to return that promise. So we will put here resolve or reject, and then run that, and of course close that. And here we'll do var and then total height, and put that to 0 by default. Then we want to specify the distance. Basically the total height will be for the scrollable div. And then the distance it should scroll its time, so we'll do distance equals 2, and it should be to 1000. And then add the scroll delay between each scroll, that should be to 3000. Actually, it will be much faster, and you'll see why in a bit. And then we'll create a timer, and then create the interval. And we need that interval to run every 200 milliseconds. Okay, so now we want to get the scroll height before, so we can compare it afterwards. And we will use the scrollable div for that. And then we'll get the scroll height. There we go. Then using the scrollable div, we want to scroll by, and we will scroll the distance we have specified. And also say total height, basically update the total height, and say plus equals 2, so we want to add the distance we scrolled. There we go. And then we want to say if total height is bigger or equal the scroll height before, then we want to say total height equal to 0, basically reset it, and then put a timeout. And in here on the timeout, we will use the scroll delay. So put a timeout for 3000 milliseconds. And then say scroll height after. So basically get the height after. And using the same method here. And then say if scroll height after is bigger than the scroll height before, then we want to return and basically do nothing. But otherwise, we want to stop scrolling down, because otherwise we have reached the end. And basically we want to clear the interval for that timer and then resolve. Okay, so I have to reformat the script a bit, and as you see, after running it, it starts scrolling to the bottom. So let's see, there we go. So as you see, there we go, it works. So again, make sure to copy it down from the description. But yeah, so as you see, after we have loaded all the results, then we need to get all the items, all the results. So we need to use some selector, and we need to make sure we are not to get here the HR. We only want to get the results here. And of course we cannot use the class name since this is generated. And what makes sense for me is to use again the role feed, of course, then go to the div here for the selector, and then get the ones that have a JS action. Test that first of all. And yeah, as you see right here, we do get as the first result the options right here, but the second result we keep getting each result for this selector right here. And the way to get around not getting this one right here is actually pretty simple. What we will do is scrape the results for each result, and then say the ones that don't have a title, which would only be this one right here, we filter them out. So for now, let's copy the selector, which works perfect for us, and let's say items equals to driver dot find elements, because we want to find all the elements that match this selector. And of course we'll use a CSS selector, and then there we go, put it here. And then what we will do is say results equals to an array, which we will append the data here. And then what we want to do is say for each item in items, create a data, which will be an object, which here we will append the title and all the information we get, because sometimes we won't get all of the results. For example, some of them don't have reviews or don't have a phone number, a website, etc. So we want this to be dynamic. And another thing we want to do is for each value we want to get, use a try catch. Since some of them, as I said, won't exist. So try and then use except here and then exception and then do nothing with the exception. Here what we will do is say data and we want to add the title. And what we'll do is say item.findElement. Then here we will specify the selector for the title. So actually we'll do by.css selector. Then the selector goes here. And then from that, of course, we want to get the text. So let's go back and let's find the selector for the title. So let's go here and actually we want to get here. We want to get inside this. There we go, keep going inside of it. And there we go, this is the title. And let's open it again and try to find a unique selector. And as you'll see, font headline small should exist, as you'll see right here, for only the titles. Yeah, as you see, for each result we get the title. So let's use that, go back and copy paste it here, remove that part. And yeah, now what we will do is say if data.title, actually no, if data.get and then title, then we want to append this object to our results. No, wait, what? We want our results and then dot append and then data. Yeah, okay. Never mind, and there we go, that should be it. And then finally with, and then let's use open and then create a file. So results.json, write to that file as f, and then basically dump our data to that file. So dump the results using our f, and then let's use some format, so ident2. That should be it. Now another thing we want to do is put all of this in a try catch just in case it fails. So let's copy paste this, try, put that inside, use finally. So whatever happens, we want to quit our driver in case the script fails. Of course, let's put the time slip here before we quit the driver. And of course, you will remove that when you actually use this in production. This is just so it doesn't close immediately, so you can see what is happening. And yeah, let's run our script. And what should happen is create the results.json file and then append for all the results the title. So let's wait. There we go. So there, yeah, we got it. So let's go on results.json, and this is almost perfect. As you'll see, we get some weird stuff here. So this is because we got the text in Greek, so this is why we get those weird characters. So as you'll see, when I save my results, I make sure I use encoding and then UTF-8. And let's go ahead and add some more data we want to get. So let's copy this actually. And we will also want to get the link. We also want to get the website link. Basically the link here is the Google Maps link, and also want to add the website. And then for ratings or phone number, we will use a completely different method. So let's do those two for now. And of course, for link and website, we're getting the href. So let's do here get attribute and then href for both of them. There we go. And yeah, let's go ahead and find the CSS selector for, first of all, for the link. And actually, that's pretty simple. We can just use the a tag. So let's do that. And then let's go ahead and find the selector for the website. Now, as you'll see, this is also an a tag, but this is the second a tag. This is not the first a tag you get. So let's find, there we go. As you'll see, data value equals website. So let's go ahead and use that. So it is an a tag and it uses this. And we want to use single quotes. There we go. So let's run this and test it out. For some reason, we didn't get the website. Yeah, if we see right here, okay. Yeah, never mind. So as you'll see, the data value here actually changes per language. So we cannot use that either. Okay, I guess we need to find another selector. What if we do div and then that? Yeah, that works perfect. So actually we don't have to use this part. And yeah. Okay, so let's put that. And yeah, so for the selector of the website, let's replace this with this one right here. Perfect. So let's run it again. Okay, this didn't work. For some reason, we still got the link, Google Maps link. So I guess our only option is to choose that and put that there. And yeah, that should work now. And there we go. So as you saw, we just have to use the full selector for this one. So now the next thing, and we will get two more values. So the first one is the reviews. So let's see how we can get that one. So first of all, let's find it. There we go. Let's go inside. And as you see, it's pretty simple. So what we can do is use the font body medium. And then also the span that has an attribute of role equals to image. There we go, perfect. And as you see, with this selector, we only get the reviews. Perfect. And then what we can do is get the area label. So let's do that. So let's copy this. Yeah, let's copy this again. Copy this. Put it here. Then for attribute, as you saw, we want to get the area label. So let's do that. And let's replace this with rating text. Now have in mind, as you saw, the attributes, I guess the language attribute changes based on your browser and based on the proxy we get. So we want to make this dynamic and not based on the text. So we cannot basically say split based on the stars and then get the first value and the second value. That won't work since the language changes. So what we can do is say rating, then numbers, since we want to get the numbers. And here we can use some, so we'll say float and then say piece dot replace. Then for each piece, and I'll explain how we will use this piece right here, what we want to do is replace the commas with a dot, since in some language you get a comma instead of a dot, which is what we need. And what we will do is say for piece in rating that underscore text dot split, and we want to get its value on that if piece dot replace comma with a dot, then replace a dot with nothing, dot, and then we want to make sure that all values are a digit. I think I made a mistake. Let's find a mistake. Rating, okay, so yeah, equals to. Okay, so we say for each piece on the rating text, and basically we get each part of that phrase, and then we make sure to replace the commas with the dot, same here, and then we only get the digits on that text. So now we know for sure that the first digit is the stars and then the second digit is the reviews. So let's do exactly that. So if we have rating numbers, because as I said, for some we don't have a rating at all, then we get the stars, and the stars is the rating numbers and then the first value. And then for the reviews, then what we can do is rating numbers and then the one, and then say if, and then rating numbers is bigger than 1, else return 0. Okay, so I made a mistake here on the dot split on rating text. We need to leave a space here because we need to split the rating text on spaces, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So let's rerun it. And let's check the JSON. Perfect. Okay, actually we only got the stars. We didn't get the reviews for some reason, so... Okay, actually here it should be if len, basically the length is more than 1, else 0. So finally, let's get the phone number, and this one is a bit complicated. We do have to use regex because I haven't found a reliable way of using this selector. So in that case, for the phone number, I'll just copy paste the code and explain what is happening. Okay, so as you see, we first of all get all the text from our result from the item, and then we use some phone pattern to extract the phone number. And then what we do is basically use the regex to basically do the extraction to find all the matches. We get the first match, then we create a value for the unique phone numbers, and then what we say is if unique phone numbers exist, we return this value, else we return none. So yeah, let's run our script again. There we go, perfect. So as you see, we extracted the phone number, and also the reviews is correctly shown here instead of shown, for example, reviews 1.0. So yeah, we extracted all the data we wanted. And finally, what I said in the beginning, we want to see how we can use the proxies now in order to change the location. So let's go up here, or actually let's go back on Chrome. Let's go to Selenium wire and then find the proxy example. There we go, on proxies here. And as you see, this is the way to do it. So let's copy this, put it here, and actually let's copy this part and remove this. We only need that part, and put it right here. Perfect. Now we need to replace two values, those two right here, and those two will be replaced by the proxy, and we will create a value for that. And then here let's specify the proxy, and let's leave it as that right now. By the way, I did say you don't have to create the code for rotating the proxies, but in case you want to automate the whole process and basically have a proxy for each location that you want to scrape, then of course you can have a .txt or whatever you want with all the proxies, and then map them or basically use a for loop or something, and go through each proxy, as you'll see right now. But for now, we'll do it for one proxy and we'll do it manually. So let's go back to Node Maven. Let's switch the output format to protocol, so we get this format right here. And let's go here to rotating. Country, let's specify United States. Region, New York. City, New York City. Let's leave ISP to random unless you actually want to use a specific ISP. And that's it. So we only want to use one of the proxies. We don't have to use multiple since it is rotating. There we go. And let's run the script again. So as you'll see now, as we run the script, as you'll see, there we go, perfect. So as you'll see, we are getting results for New York City. And there we go, so you see we've reached the end of the list and we got the results. So let's see. And there we go. So as you see, we got all the results and we got about 121, which is perfect. We got the phone number successfully, the reviews, the stars, the website, the link, everything. We will have the code down in the description. And of course, make sure you'll use my link to get access to the Node Maven proxies and get access to the trial. And also, using my code Michael, you will get an extra 2 GB of bandwidth. So if you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, I will appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of my next video projects. And yeah, with that said, see you in the next video.